let's get into it. Fishbowl number 6, I believe we are on, and that is what we're going to do for today. We have Seth here, who's going to help us out again on this episode. He's never been a part of it. It's going to be super fun. Super excited. Cody is back on. It's been a little bit, but he's here to help us out with the fishbowl too. I'm not going to ramble. I got some good topics. I'm excited for this. I hope we all have some good talking points. I'm going to do the first spin. We're going to see what it lands on. Okay. All right. I don't know too much about this. I'm hoping that you guys do too. I know a couple of talking points. All right. The Fresno Night Crawlers. Have you guys heard of this?
Maybe indirectly. Not off the top of my head by the name.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me see. How can I do this? Okay, we're gonna fuck it. All right. So the Fresno Night Crawlers, if you guys want to type it into Google or YouTube, what it is that there was a home surveillance system that was pointed what it seems like into the woods, but it was along a road. You can see a road in the distance, and there is these white.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, me
yes.
too.
Yes, the Fresno Night Crawlers. Everyone is still baffled as to what they could actually be, because if you watch the video, they move in such a weird way. And could it be someone on stilts? Maybe, but there's I think 3 of them, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Well, where your torso would be, there's nothing. That's what's weird. It just ends.
Exactly.
If you look at the tree, and that thing is tall as shit.
That's what I mean.
Look at it. It's next to the tree. Holy hell.
Cody, can you put it in the chat what you're looking at?
Yeah.
So if you, as an audience member, if you're wondering what this looks like, or if you've never seen it, just real quick, go to Google search, type in Fresno Night Crawler, or even go into YouTube so you can take a look at what we're watching right now. Or if you want to, you can come over to the Discord link and it'll be there. But it's these, it's almost like what Seth was saying. Where the torso of a human should be, it's not there. So it's really one of those things where it's if someone,
it's in ideas and feedback.
Ideas and feedback.
Yeah, that's where I paste it.
But it's really crazy, right? Even you were saying, Cody, they're so freaking tall.
I was literally gonna try to destroy it, and then I watched it again, and I saw it come up to the tree, those side by side with the tree, and I'm like, "What in the hell?"
Right?
That's weird. I've seen different footage. This is new footage to me. Oh, that's so weird.
Wait,
I was thinking Mr. Burns, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons when he gets the radiation shots and he walks through the bushes vibes out of it.
I gotta see what you guys are watching now too, because it might be something completely different than what I. Oh, geez,
I've seen the other ones too, but this one's nuts.
I have not seen that one.
And what? These are all in Fresno or something?
Yeah, the Fresno. Where exactly is Fresno?
Fresno's California, right?
Let me check real quick.
I've crossed the Mississippi once, so I'm not an expert in that side of the country by any means.
Fresno. Where is?
Yeah, California.
Yep. So the one that you just watched, Cody, I've never seen that one.
Oh, whoa.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
How's it going, Rain? What are you up to?
Fine, I'm just chilling.
We're actually in the middle of an episode right now. We're recording.
Oh, I'm sorry. Goodbye.
No. It's So real
Okay,
quick,
that was pretty funny.
That was Rain. That was our ghost hunter guy. I'll shoot him a text. He probably wants to do another episode, which is fine. But getting back on subject, yeah, the Fresno Night Crawler. If you go into the thoughts and ideas in the Discord, you can see the video that Cody had put up there. But there's also that other one that I think everyone has seen where it's on that long stretch of road. So what do you guys think that this could possibly be? Like, do you think it's faked? Do you think it's real? Like, what do you think it could possibly be?
I feel like the first ones would probably be the legitimate ones. After that, people are really good at software enough to emulate that VFX wise. But because especially if they're older and you see a lot of VHS grain and different things they've applied to it to hide imperfections in the VFX.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think if there was a true one, I would say it would probably be the first few. But I don't know what they are. They're creepy.
Yeah.
So the other thing is where it is. So California is fairly known for a majority of the people out there having a plethora of money. It's a very wealthy state. There's a lot of wealthy people. There's also Hollywood's not close, but it's not far. Could potentially be animatronics. It could be something made for a movie that never got used. And somebody was messing with somebody, as we love to do. And that's definitely a possibility. I will say the only reason why I'm very skeptic about it is if it was something like an actual cryptid or something, there should be some type of lore about it. Anything that's like completely new and unheard of, and there's no like older stories or wives' tales or anything about, you kind of have to assume it's been created in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it out there, but what if it's alien though? You know what I mean? Like, what if it? Like, there are lots of different types of aliens that people see. Like, there's the normal like humanoid looking ones. There's also like the lizard people, the grays. There's all sorts of different shapes and sizes. What if this is just the first time that we've encountered or seen like an alien like that?
I think the intelligence aspect kind of ruins that one. So if there was an alien life force that was able to land here and obviously intergalactic, oh my God, I can't even say it, travel. There's cloaking technologies. There's the ability to not be caught by our radar, amongst other things. You would think that they would be intelligent enough not to get caught on camera as well.
See, I feel like that would, though, it's one of those things where we have yes, like I feel like if aliens don't want to get caught, they won't get caught. But however, like you look at some of the UFO footage that we do have, they're obviously not like, they don't care to a certain degree. Like, and what if it's just like something like this where it's like they're just out for a stroll? They don't care if anyone sees them or not. They're just like, what if they're like an ET alien where they're totally harmless? They're just looking at like different nature, like within different worlds, and they're just walking down this dirt road, I don't know. I love to assume aliens, but I don't know.
Well, it's like, do beekeepers worry about being seen to their bees? Like, they may not even care. We may be such a inconsequential species to them that they just do stuff every now and then that has to do with something that's important to them. We catch a glimpse and are like, what is that? There's like a bee would be like, what is that? Like, so I don't know. And but ultimately they could care less. They have no, yeah.
That is true. Because I mean, if you do think about it, like, okay, yes, as a human race, we do have like this technology. We have cars. Like, obviously, if an alien comes down there, they can see like we're some sort of like, we have some sort of advancements. Like, I guess it's the same thing with like us looking at ants or something like that. Or like if aliens come down here, do they just think that we're really primitive? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Do they even really? Yeah. Because I mean, like, we've never left Earth, and like, okay, yes, we have, but like, just like little probes to like the moon and Mars, but like and maybe like sending satellites way out there in the orbit, but like us as a species, we've never left Earth to like do traveling. So like, I wonder if.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go. I want to see what you're saying.
No, I totally interrupted.
Well, I'm just
that we're doing it again. No, you finish, and I'll just.
What if, long story short, what if it's just they still look at us as primitive creatures that don't have like a higher sense of intelligence, and they don't care if they get seen? I guess that's kind of like what I'm getting at. So
I would agree. I would also say, like, what if these creatures, these weird stilt-legged creatures, like once a century, they have to come to our particular rock to like because there's some real specific frequency that's generated by the tectonic plates. They get out because California is like full of whatever, and there's just some bizarre form of vibrational energy they need for sustenance, and then they like get exposed to it and then leave for another century. Like it could be something like that. It would be so foreign to us. Like, how would we even conceptualize that?
Well, so that's the thing too, is like things that we perceive as like normal and just reality to us as humans. Like it could be completely something different for like an alien species where it's just like them walking down the road, getting a breeze could like be super toxic to them, or like that could give them the energy they need. Like it could be eating or drinking to them. Who knows? But I've never thought of what you said, Cody, with it being possibly just animatronics and just like someone who's really good. Maybe it was supposed to be for a set for like a creature movie or like something weird. They just never used it, and they're like, "Hey, let's make this video. Let's put this to test. They like put it to work."
I'm all on board the last theory. I really like the whole like indigenous tribes have like the whole you have to walk through the fire pit for manhood, and maybe they just have to touch grass.
Oh, you just gotta walk on grass on Earth.
The animatronic thing that you said, Cody, is really interesting because the only time I've seen that is like exactly what you're describing. There was someone that there were leftover animatronic humanoid, like with faces and arms and stuff, in a VFX department that filmed them going through the bins of random heads and arms that you assemble, and they were apparently meant for like background stuff that you couldn't really tell that they were fake. And it was either used or it was just their backlot, and someone filmed it, but somebody took that video footage and exposed it to the QAnon community, and they were just like, Biden's a robot, this or that. See, they're replacing people. It was like a whole big thing on Twitter for a while.
Oh, that'd be funny. It's I don't know. I'm glad that you guys like were familiar with it to some degree and everything like that. I think it's one of those things where it's the name Fresno Night Crawlers. Like people just don't know what they're actually called, but I'm pretty sure everyone, even you as a listener, I'm sure you've seen like a picture or seen the video, just haven't seen it. So final thoughts though on Fresno Night Crawlers.
It's real.
I want a high def video.
That's the thing. I don't think we'll ever get one. I think it's like the Bigfoot. What is it? I watched because I'm in like the Bigfoot subreddit, whatever. Just, I like that one too. And there's a video recently, and they're always grainy. But
isn't that the problem with all of this, like proof-wise? Like we have Samsung cameras that can take really great pictures of the moon. Like close up, but every paranormal thing looks like it was shot on a potato. Like I don't know.
I mean, if you have a phone that's within 10 years old, there shouldn't be a grainy video. Like
exactly.
But I feel because all right, so I think there was someone recently that was showing off like the new iPhone, and it didn't say. I can't remember if it said it like in the title, but. It looked like a close up of a plane flying in the sky. Like they were like, you could tell like someone was videoing it, but when they actually zoomed out, it was insane how small of a dot that plane was in the sky and how close. Have you seen it, Seth?
I think I've seen something similar. Was it like a passenger airplane?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. 'Cause, yeah, you're right. When it zoomed out, it's just like, oh, that is like just a shiny speck.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy. And yes, I feel like phones today, we shouldn't be getting grainy photos of Bigfoot or like UFOs. But something that someone said that was actually kind of interesting was, what if Bigfoot is just blurry? What if he gives something out that like his energy just makes the pictures blurry, almost like the Ring, like when your face was all distorted and everything like that. Like, what if it's something like that that's going on?
Like some form of frequency that messes with the electronics.
Well, he's got like biological electromagnetic shielding.
So I have brought this up. I think it was the Bigfoot episode that we did, like one of the first episodes that we did. Have you guys heard of the theory that Bigfoot is actually an alien pet?
No,
I've not heard this theory, but that's probably one of the most realistic of them.
The reason why it's a theory, or why like people support it, is because a lot of times where there are Bigfoot sightings, there are also UFO sightings. And what their theory is that Bigfoot is like a scouting animal for them, where like a dimension will open up or like a beam of light will go down and put the Bigfoot there. He'll go do whatever, like observe, do whatever, and then he'll get sucked back up. That's why there's like no skulls. There's no like physical proof of the Bigfoot. Is because like,
the aliens are drunk and they're using high level holographics to put them down there to fuck with us.
Wouldn't that be something?
I mean, that's something we would do.
But yeah, it's a crazy theory and everything, but yeah. All right, we will spin the wheel again. We'll see what we land on. Okay, so this is more of a how would you feel in this sort of situation? This may not be a huge talking point, but I saw it and I thought it was like I'm just gonna read it. Okay, all right. So British Airway Flight 9 flew through a cloud of volcanic ash, causing all 4 engines to stop. The captain aboard told the passengers that, quote, "We have a small problem. All 4 engines have stopped. We are doing our damnedest to get them all going again. I trust that you are not in too much distress." How would you guys feel about that?
I mean, the balls on that guy have got to be massive. Right? Say that to a cabin full of people.
All 4 engines. Like I do know that like for the most part, like planes are designed in a way where they like, as you're like getting close to your destination, they glide. Like that's like part of it, is where like, feel like for me, if captain came on the fucking intercom and was like, "Hey, our engines stopped," I'd be freaking out. Especially like I get freaked out flying over water. And I think it's from the movie Castaway. Like when his plane went down and he was in the middle of the ocean, he got lucky, he got on that island. But that, to me, that is just, I always get nervous.
Yeah, and especially I'm pretty sure the oxygen masks are fake, right? They don't actually feed oxygen. It's like a pacification thing.
I have heard that theory where it is something where it's like it's designed to like kind of like if you are going down, that they can pump like what is it, something in there where it makes you high or it makes you like fall asleep or something. I don't know. Oh, man, I have heard that. So I don't know.
I think I don't know. I have been in some interesting situations
on a flight.
Not on planes. Just
okay.
I've had some very, very, very close to death instances. I feel like I would be, for the most part, calm. I'd probably be pretty pissed that was said because everybody around me is probably extremely erratic.
Yes.
But it's kind of one of those things that the moment you put yourself in that cage, I mean, you roll the die. I mean, there's just it is what it is.
I mean, yes, like but I think that's the last thing people want to think about or like have on their mind when they're on a flight or about to go on a flight is, what if this plane goes down? Like, what am I going to do? Like they try to be just like, all right, I'm going to take my NyQuil, go to sleep. I don't condone that. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to pass out on this flight and just wake up at the destination. You know what I mean? Like people.
But as a pilot, you're kind of morally and ethically obligated to say something like that, because what if you wasted that time and you took away those people's last chance to send a voicemail to a loved one and say goodbye and do all those things. So I feel like he did the right thing. Maybe the way he delivered the message was not great.
It's the end.
But I feel like he is kind of obligated to say that and maybe kind of run through the, hey, we're going to be fine, we'll be able to glide for a while type thing, and, a little bit of better bedside manner. But I feel like it has to be said.
Well, I think you're right, where it's like, I think, yes, in a way you're obligated to like, hey, this is what's going on with the plane right now. We don't panic or anything like that. We're doing what we can to start up the engines. Like, like that reassurance that like, hey, we're going to do what we can to start these up. And like in the event, like I wouldn't say anything about an emergency until like no shit you had to. But yeah, I think that last bit where it's like, hey, you guys aren't worried, are you? Like, yes, you're trying to lighten the mood, but like, holy cow, like, I don't know. I don't know. Oh.
I find it strange that passenger planes don't have parachutes. Like I remember as a kid, just assuming that there were parachutes for everyone under the seat. And then when I started flying later on, I realized that they're not going to spring for that kind of cost. They're not putting the seat might kind of float. That's about it.
Yeah.
You're not. No,
I'm not an expert in this aspect of jumping out of planes with a parachute, but couldn't that be also catastrophic if 180 people attempted to jump out of a plane and hit their chutes at the same time or around the same time?
Some might go through the turbine, but think of the lives saved by it. Percentage-wise, we're still winning.
I'm thinking of them like raveling together, and then you just create this like ball of just human mass just hurling at the ground.
Okay. On this, okay, but think about like this same thing, like kind of like what you were saying, Seth and Cody. What if the plane were to be designed though in a way where it's almost like the space capsules that like would come back down, where rather than like individual like parts of the plane got like sectioned off and it like detached from the plane, whether it shoot up or down or like however, I'm not gonna design it. That's someone else's job. But like parts of the plane detach, and as one big unit you fall. So it's less people, individually getting caught up, and it's one kind of like just sections of the plane coming down.
Yeah. Yeah. If everybody just got in the center fuselage, and then the two ends were like blown off and then sealed, and then a hatch opened and a parachute. I could see that. I mean, these kind of companies, these legacy institutions are not going to do anything. Like look at SpaceX. As much as Elon Musk is like hit and miss on stuff, and he's totally like a vaporware salesman sometimes, but he at least like they did figure out reusing rocket fuselages. And so if you have like a emerging kind of tech industry kind of startup mentality and then do this, I could see that kind of happening. But these old school legacy like corporations will definitely never do such a thing.
Yeah.
Takes away from their margins. That takes away from what keeps them in their position the next fiscal year, all those things. So there's just no chance it even hits C-suite.
Yeah, I want to know what's on the Air Force One. I want to know their safety protocols, because that place is like, that's a flying like continent.
Yeah. No kidding. That'd actually be pretty interesting to look into. Like, what are all the safety measures on that? Like, as far as like, if a plane or like one of the engines goes down, is it designed in a way where it can still fly with like one engine? Can it like, how does it work?
Like the limo is like way over engineered. Like it's insane what they did with just the limo.
Oh, I think I saw a picture of it. Like on the front, there's like tear gas. There's actual like weapons with inside the limo. In like if in that event, bulletproof. Just like
if those tires blow off, there's like an under rubber tread that's like seamlessly fastened to the hub of the wheel. So if they lose all their tires, there's like backup default tires within it. They've got like plate glass that's like this big. They have every anti-venom and anti-poison known to man in syringes in the roof. Like it's insane.
Yes. And I think, who was it? It was the Queen. She also had like a really like decked out vehicle. I remember hearing about that. That was insane.
I just love it, like a population of people. We all give our money in little tidbits to these people that lead us, and they have like every conceivable way of surviving. They're building bunkers. If anything happened, it would annihilate the U.S. We would all be dead, but the people we've been like, how is that not like a complete like slave state? But anyway, I'm done.
And if we get annihilated, it'd be the people that caused it that would be the only ones left.
Yeah. It's just like the whole thing is like citizens are inherently bitches. Like it's horrible.
It's indentured servitude.
Yeah. It's really weird because do you think that they would be the ones going to go out and farm and like do all this? No, probably not.
No. We do all that.
Yeah.
We do all that. We pay them. They survive. They cause shit. They survive. We die. It's just a completely fucked deal.
Okay. I just thought about that. Cody, were you going to say something?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Speaking on the same lines of like these the airplanes and everything like that, I read about a theory about the Titanic that they knew it was going to sink.
It was like a job.
Yes, like they wanted to sink it because it was more cost effective. And I wonder if like the same thing is like thought about with like commercial flights, where it's like there's no need to put more safety measures in it because it would cost more. And it's just like to redesign all of these airplanes and do everything like that. It's not, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You know what I mean? So I wonder if it's like the same thing where it's like, just let the plane go down. Just like let it blow up. Like it's easier to do that. I don't know.
All the information on me right now. So I did an 1.5 hour long podcast with my brother about why the Titanic would sink and why JP Morgan put the hit on it. So that way he could create a conglomerate and a monopoly. And that's generally what caused a lot of other things in the aftermath.
So yeah, that's who it was. JP Morgan. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, can you like in a nutshell, can you kind of like,
I don't want to misspeak because it's been like 18 months, but it was, I forget exactly what it was for. It was like, there's been like ideas of because they wanted another ship but it had nothing to do with the ship. I think it was the people that were on the ship. The people that they invited for the maiden voyage were, big heads in his competition and potentially striving for some of his marketplace. And when they died at a catastrophic, unsinkable ship, it was no longer considered, foul play. It was just, unexpected and so on and so forth. And then he inherited what he inherited.
My only thing though with like the Titanic is like, how would you like, okay, I get it. You're going through, it was the Atlantic, correct? Mm-hmm. And like, okay, I'm sure like everyone knew that there were icebergs and everything like that.
Of course.
What's that?
They were way off course.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So you're saying that they were intentionally put further north to be in proximity to these?
Yeah. So I went into it deeply before, but it was the way that they built it. So the way that they put it together, it wasn't as they described they did. So they actually put it together very cheaply and loosely made. So that way, if anything hit it, they knew it would essentially sink it. And they put them towards like closer to the ice cap so that the potential of running into something hard.
I've heard that when they did all the heat treating for the steel, that they cooled it way too fast. They didn't let it like cool on its own time. It was quenched way too quickly, which caused the steel to be extremely brittle. And especially if you put it next to like a iceberg,
That's crazy. So like just kind of going off. It's weird how like we have like things going on today where it's like these conspiracies, but like you look back even then where it's like that within itself was like considered a conspiracy. Like, I don't know if it was like something that was talked about or if like a lot of people knew that back in the day.
Probably not. They just took the newspaper's word for it.
Yeah, When do you think conspiracy theories like actually started to become like more like pertinent and everything like that? You know, like before it was like, because think about it, if you believed in a conspiracy back in the day, you're probably thought of like as a nutball. So like, when do you think it started to become like the norm, or it's okay to believe in something like that?
When
Right after Al Gore invented the internet.
Is that one definitely a big stepping point? Is the internet?
Is that one of his claims? Is that
he claims he had heavy responsibility for the modern day internet, and he talks about how he was involved with its predecessor, you know, like the DARPA stuff. It's weird. He's always made strange claims. He's claimed that he could hypnotize baby chicks. I remember that. Yes, he was talking about how he grew up on a farm and all of this stuff, and how he could hypnotize baby chicks with his finger, which is like, what are you even talking about? What?
I'm not so make decisions is unbelievable.
But wasn't it the state of Florida was the reason why he didn't get president? It was like that was the state,
the hanging chads,
yes,
and Bush's like lawyers. Like seriously, like it was in heavy contention, and from the way I've heard it is that Bush's lawyers, which they've got like deep pockets, came in there and like just blocked they just did their thing, and it was what it was, and but whatever.
Was it because
they're both terrible? They're both terrible candidates, both of them. So
you've grown accustomed to that. And the other aspect to answer your question is the moment comedians started telling more truth in the news is when conspiracies started to really turn around and being popular. But also, fun fact, so false flags, which is essentially the first beginning of conspiracy, started in ancient Rome. So this is nowhere near a new thing.
Okay, so it's always been around. It's always been a thing. But like the internet was what really skyrocketed it and just took it to a whole new level. Because I mean, like, yeah, we talk about like the rabbit hole, getting lost in that, like that.
Well, there must have been people in Nazi Germany that saw through the bullshit of their media machine, because they had a very strict media machine in Nazi Germany. Oh, and, yeah. I'm sure there were people that quietly were like, "This is so stupid."
I feel like that happens like everywhere, though. It's really interesting, just like when we talk about like the news media, whatever. We won't have to get into like deep, but it's just like it's really interesting how like you go to like just like the headlines to all these different things, and like how pictures, like taking like just editing a picture to fit what you're trying to narrate and everything. It's very interesting, like how you can do, and like you can spin things just however you want to. So like when it comes to conspiracies and like the Titanic sank because of an iceberg or like whatever, and it's just like, I don't know, it's really interesting how that happens. But
the most interesting aspects of that are the people that get interviewed and they also record the interview. So the interviewee is also recording for their own records. And so that way, when it gets spun, they also like release on YouTube what was actually said instead of just what was spun.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I've seen that.
And you can see the manipulation aspect of it.
Yeah, very true. So last minute thoughts on Flight 9, British Flight 9. I know we kind of got off topic just a little bit there, but you think like I would be freaked out, but I think kind of like what you were saying, Cody, I think the pilot does like owe everyone that like that piece to like say something, but that last piece he could have just left out personally.
Yeah.
All right. I already spun the wheel a little bit ago, so we can just hop right into the next one. Have you ever heard of the name Jean-Claude
Van Damme?
No, not Van Damme. Jean-Claude Romand.
No.
Neither one of you?
I'm aware of.
Okay. So this guy, I'll read it to you. He lied to his parents about passing his first and second year of medical examinations, despite never taking the examinations. He never revealed the truth and continued to craft an elaborate lie for 18 years. His family and friends thought that he was a successful medical professional and researcher. When the truth was finally found out that he was not a medical professional and he'd never done any of this stuff. He had killed his entire family, including his parents. That is insane.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's like what I don't understand about that is that like there was no I didn't look into the actual case and everything like that, but I don't know if he was doing anything illegal, because to me that would be like the only, but like it's not like he killed him. Oh, what are you thinking?
That's all fucked up mind. It has to be something messed up there, because he's essentially picking being exposed for being a fraud over being a murderer. Like, even if it was something illegal, like, how does that dictate the difference? It's almost like they broke his psyche or broke his ego, and he wasn't willing to accept that he was a fraud of a doctor. He'd rather just kill the people that were naysayers.
But like to me, that wouldn't that like your family is the one that like typically supports you and all of this stuff. Like, would it be like the news guy or lady who's like covering you and everything like that? Well, why have to go over your family? Unless his family was the one who were like questioning him and grilling him, like, why didn't you do this? Like, you're such a disgrace. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't. It's just a little bit. We don't know the whole story and everything like that. But
how long was this?
It looks like it was in the 90s.
Okay.
He became eligible for parole in 2015, so that's probably why it came back up.
Okay. Oh, so you looked up the...
he paroled in 2019.
So he's out.
Yeah.
Does it say anything else?
It's just amazing to me that you can murder your entire family and have any possibility of getting out of anything. Like, that's crazy.
He is reported to suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. So I must have been somewhere near right on the head.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what you were saying, Seth, real quick, is that I also read another article of someone who had killed another person and they got 5 years, but the person who had filmed it got life in prison. And it's just like, how does that
even work? What is that? Where's man? Oh,
unless it was like how like the law is written, like distribution of like a murder or something like that. Like that is, but again, like how is taking a life not way more than like something like that?
That happening, there needs to be a huge overhaul on. I know that, states, there's so many different rules per state on like sentencing and lengths and this and that, but still, if you have an issue where like distributing snuff is like life imprisonment, but actually committing the crime on the snuff film is like, well, that's just crazy to me. I know. I mean, it's like the legal system becomes so large and bureaucratic, and there's so many cogs to the wheel that nothing happens efficiently or what we would think is fair. So I don't have anything to say to that other than that's crazy.
That sounds like rich kid killed somebody, poor kid filmed it.
Yeah. It could be something like that. I brought this particular article up to my wife when I was talking with her about just like topics and everything like that to cover in the fishbowl. And like something that we had talked about is like, even if you had, because like almost like what you were saying, Seth, with like the justice system and like just how things like the law is. And like, even if you had like your own little island and like you had everything the way that you wanted it to be, like how many people do you think it would be before things start getting maybe like not the utopia that you want? Like at what point is it no longer like a perfect civilization? Because I feel like no matter what we do as human beings, the only way to have like a utopia is if you're by yourself. The way that like the fantasy of going out in the mountain and making a cabin with your dog is pretty much as close as it gets in terms of living rule free. But like the hippies in like the 60s and 70s, they tried to do that by making these communes, and they classically were like way
they didn't work. It was like worse than what they came from, because it ultimately turns into either a cult or people like freaking out about like the scarcity of something. It never ends well. There's like something to society scaling, but it also the type of society, like the rules implemented, like a pure democracy does not, that has a short lifespan. A mix between like representation and a democracy, it lasts a little longer. Dictatorships are extremely volatile and completely, have to do with the dictator. I don't know. I mean, there's no such thing as a utopia. So, and if you're by yourself, unless you just like that, that could be a.
Am I back?
Yeah,
No, you're back. You're back.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I just heard.
Well, I only caught like bits and pieces of that, Seth.
No, it was just a rant about societal structures. I'm just saying that there's no such thing as a utopia, because like unless you're just hardwired to be alone, that's not like the best existence. I remember there was this documentary I saw as a kid on PBS, and it was this guy that went into the Alaskan wilderness and through sheer scratch, just nothing, he built a cabin, he built an icebox, built all of this stuff, and just lived out there for like 30 years. Mm-hmm. And it was extremely impressive. And then he had to leave because of poor health, because he was getting like really old. But that guy had it figured out. It's just that that amount of loneliness and solitude could probably get to you unless you're, I don't know.
I do have a theory to bring things back as I've been diving in on this Jean-Claude Roman guy. So he spent 20 years as a successful doctor and researcher with WHO. And why that I think is pertinent is if anybody's dove into what the World Health Organization has done, they like messing with stuff. And I wonder if the reason why he's not in prison still is because there was something that happened in some type of experiment or something that threw him off, and then he just went home and killed his family, and they're kind of like protecting him and shielding him so they don't expose it.
Oh, whoa.
But here's the thing, though, is like, why would they want to protect someone who now they know doesn't have any sort of like legitimacy? Like he never took his exams. He's not a legitimate doctor. So it seems like when they want to just like, nope, have nothing to do with you anymore.
Because what governments have found out that regardless of how illegitimate something might be said, when you come from any form of knowledge at a like official level, whether how you got there was whatever it is, people listen. Somebody will take that story and dig and look and all those things. Look at, gosh, what's his name? I know you know him because you love aliens.
Bob
the guy
Lazar.
Yes. Look at him. So for example, why that's similar is because our government did the exact same thing to Bob Lazar. They said he never was there. He never had those clearances. He never did these things. Who's to say that this guy didn't have those things and they just covered it up as he didn't, so that way they could dispute anything that he does say while
But
he's
the university's newspaper, man. The photo.
I'm just saying that this is like obviously Bob Lazar didn't kill anybody, but this is very similar in a way to Bob Lazar.
Yeah, disavow all knowledge.
So almost like the WHO like went to the school that he was supposedly in, or like, hey, he never went here. He never took his last 2 exams. Make that happen type deal. I
mean, if you ever go down a rabbit hole of what WHO has done and does behind the scenes, that shit's scary.
So what you're saying is it wouldn't be surprising if
it makes it more valid that it's them.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Huh. I mean, I don't know. When you say like, yeah, like if a government really doesn't want somebody, like the Bob Lazar thing though, that to me, that gets me, because it's just one of those, like, he says he did all of this stuff. So to get like rid of all that stuff, it would just take so much manpower. And like, I think it would.
I don't think so.
Wasn't it just one university that would have had to done it?
Yes, and then essentially government personnel. So what's one thing you do when you sign up for the military or government job? You forfeit all rights. They own you.
Yeah.
They can impose will. Period. There's nothing you can say. You can technically, physically say or do about it, but then they do the same thing to you. There's nothing you can say or do to speak outside of it. And then there goes to the fact of how do you know he killed these people, and how do you know they didn't kill them to shut him up, and they framed him for it? You don't know.
Oh, geez. No, this is starting to be a conspiracy.
Well, I'm just saying is you don't know. Hillary Clinton showed us it's easy to do.
I totally, even though John McAfee was a total, he was an interesting fellow, but he was into schemes as well as legitimate stuff. But they totally killed him. He knew things. He knew stuff. And Epstein. Epstein and McAfee. They knew way too much, and they just had their CIA, like their off-duty CIA bros, just go whack them. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
But it's interesting that Bob Lazar is still walking around, because I think with the alien thing, it's easier to just be like, he's crazy, and you don't have to go through the investment of just completely killing someone that would totally just strengthen the UFO base.
And that was my argument before, is that you can't kill him because you add validity to his statement.
True.
I think you said that during the Alex Jones one too, because I brought that up, where it's just like, why not just kill him? If he's saying like truth and what he is saying is actual, why not just off him? But then, like what you're saying, it brings that validity. Yeah, brings valid to the argument. Like it's what he's saying is true. So yeah, it makes sense. But it'd be really weird if like that, like this whole thing, like him really was a conspiracy. But like, I guess like he's out now. It would be really interesting to see like what is he up to? Like where's
he's stuck in a monastery with a monitor.
What? He's stuck in a what?
Yeah, so they released him into a monastery because they're saints. Sorry, but with a leg monitor. So he's basically on house arrest in a monastery.
Wow.
Which again, was that part of the deal of the parole?
I'm assuming so. And again, that kind of, makes the brain continue to go back.
Where's a monastery? Does it say like where or anything like that?
France. It's in France. So.
Oh, okay.
That reminds me of that line the warden says in the Dahmer Netflix series, "Religion pacifies."
I've yet to watch
one of the
it.
most factual statements ever.
Oh, all right. Final thoughts on this guy.
I don't think he should be free.
Yes, correct.
That's my final thought.
Yeah,
unless he didn't do it.
All right. The next topic that we have is the British Columbia sturgeon. Are any of you guys fishermen?
No, I'm a golfer.
Okay, I knew that. Okay, so sturgeon in general can grow really, really big. Right? You see a picture of it, Cody?
Wait, hold on. I gotta see this.
Shit. Another reason not to go in the water.
Right.
Jesus.
I'll let you look up a picture of it, Seth, before I start talking again, because I have a theory behind this. Wait.
British sturgeon. Wait, what was the specific thing you said?
British Columbia sturgeon. It's
that's huge.
Yes. Yes, it is a huge. And if you're an audience member, if you're not into fishing, if you don't know anything about it, whatever, I suggest looking it up. It is a very, very large fish, and it is up north in Canada area. But my theory behind that and why I'm bringing this up is because I feel like when it comes to cryptids, things like this, where people don't know what the fuck it is and everything like that, this can get misconstrued as something like the Loch Ness monster, for instance, or if it like swims underneath your boat or something like that. It's like, what could like a huge monster swam under my boat and everything like that. So I don't know. It's a theory that I want to throw out there. I wanted you guys to I want your input on that.
That is a leftover dinosaur. That is a dinosaur that made it.
Right?
Yeah.
Being spent most of my life in dinosaur land, the size shocked me because the only things that I've known of fish being that big are like monster catfish that like crazy Aboriginal people from Florida like to noodle with. But yeah, I mean, that is, I don't even know. Like, in order for a fish to get that size, it has to be left alone for so long, which is also extremely rare in a way. So you have to assume that there is either some underground caverns or they're able to get in brackish / saltwater. I don't know. That's a fucking monster.
But do you see how like something like seeing something like this and not knowing what it is could get like, I saw the Loch Ness monster, like, because again, this is it's up north. It's landlocked in where it's not. And again, like what you're saying, Cody, it could have possibly like a way out into the ocean and then come back. I'm not 100% sure if sturgeon are saltwater and freshwater. I think they're only freshwater.
So I'm going to put this picture in.
What's fascinating is the research they did on large animals that were like incredibly huge at certain eras in Earth's history, and what the atmosphere was composed of. Like, it had way higher oxygen concentrations, so all of a sudden you see like giant beetles and giant centipedes that are like the size of crocodiles, and that's always interesting. And I feel like there's probably a lot of latent genes that if there was a mix up, or if the ratios in the atmosphere changed back to that kind of thing, I feel like it would just happen again. There's something about that's interesting.
I would be terrified if like a giant mosquito fucking was flying around. I feel like it's almost like the movie The Mist. Oh gosh, those huge fucking creatures and everything like that. That would be terrifying.
That is like the most depressing film.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
If you look in ideas and feedback, the picture that I just put in there.
Okay.
I'm going to say this wrong again. I'm not into fishing, but the whiskers or whatever the shit that is on the front of its face.
The whiskers. I think you might be right.
Remind me of a catfish. It looks very similar to the front of a catfish. Obviously, the catfish is wider and all that, and all, I don't know the entomology of fishes, but I think those might be somewhere in the similar category because of that, which does kind of give credit. I don't know if you've seen monster catfishes.
They're
those things are they're boats.
Yeah,
they're enormous. I mean, so it kind of adds a little bit more validity to it. But I do also kind of like your approach of like what were considered cryptids or sea monsters or something like that could have just been somebody seeing this.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of important when we're like just talking about cryptids in general. Is like, I can't tell you how many times just scrolling through Reddit, like I look at stuff and like, what the fuck is that? But it's actually like a real insect. It's a real animal. It's just, what was it? There was a monkey that was the size, I think, of like a butterfly. It's like that big. It's tiny, but it's still considered like a monkey. But if you were to see that thing like crawling around your floor in the middle of the night, you'd be like, what is that? Like, I saw a goblin or like a troll or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's really interesting to like see something that big, just like a normal fish landlocked in can grow that big. Were you going to say something, Seth?
No? Actually, I was, but I decided not to.
Go for it.
Well, it had to do with it has to do with this and the first one. the walking legs. There was a video of around the same time I saw that video. There was a video of this guy. I think he was speaking Spanish, and he was filming his dog. His dogs were going crazy, and there was something that was either attacking a chicken or whatever. And this thing looked like it had like wings, but it was on the ground and it was dragging this thing. And they finally got the thing to leave and get scared. But if I can find that, I'll see. Oh man, but anyway, it was like a cryptid situation, but it did not scream fake to me. It was like this dude that was panicked. He lived kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and this thing, like, that is why, like, chupacabras, like, that's why the idea exists. Every now and then some crazy looking thing will go after your livestock, and then it just becomes like lore at that point. But if I remember the name of that, I'll send it your way.
I think you had a valid point earlier, though. I mean, even not just like the whole oxygen and other mineral levels and all of that, but like, I mean, so like the Hills Have Eyes movies come from a true story.
Wait, how are we going from fishing to true?
I'm gonna explain.
This is the human version.
It's the human version of it. But who's to say like one animal doesn't just sleep with another animal and that's what comes out is like some of, you know, like a cryptid or like the chupacabra or something like that. You just have like a genetic freak because of whatever unfortunate events, and it's a one-off. But the stories will always last because nobody at that time has ever seen anything like it. It probably acted somewhat irrationally to other animals of similar, so on and so forth. I mean, we literally had the human aspect of it in the Grand Canyon that were just killing people and eating them and stuff. So, I mean.
So what you're saying is like it's possible that like just two animals for the like freaking nature happened, they mated, and this is what it created, and no one, and then what you were saying, like no one knew exactly what it was, and that's how the cryptid was born.
In certain situations, like the chupacabra story, like something similar could have happened with that, you know, so on and so forth. And then, you know, life expectancies of mutations are not very high, so it may not have lasted long. It could have been like a season or 2 seasons, and then it was gone, and now it's just a lore about it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, so I think a perfect example of that is like, I think like one, if anyone were to see like this animal went extinct, I think it was in the 1920s or 30s, the Tasmanian, what is it? Oh, the Tasmanian.
Don't tell me the devil is extinct.
The Tasmanian tiger, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
It's it like the front of it looks really weird, but the back of it has like stripes like a tiger, but it's no longer. They went extinct, I think, like in the 30s or something like that, because we shot them all. But again, it's like if someone were to see that now, it would be pretty crazy. People would be like, I have no idea what that thing is.
Man, that breaks my heart. Overhunting. I hate overhunting. And in this day and time, we have got to figure out how to get a genetic sample of this. That is a wild looking dog cat.
Yeah,
well, so
that thing is gorgeous looking.
It's funny that you bring that up because they're actually trying to, because they do have I'm pretty sure they still have the remains of that last one or like something like it. And they're trying to bring it back. But I don't know.
The woolly mammoths, like that, that I could go on a rant about like the woolly mammoths that were like killed instantly, where their back legs were shattered. They were all erect because they suffocated. Like there was like fields of these woolly mammoths that just instantly died, but they're like so well preserved. People that were first discovering them in like the turn of the century could eat them. They were having like woolly mammoth steaks, but like in their fine dining situation. But what's crazy is they still have them like perfectly preserved, and they could totally use like an elephant as a surrogate and clone the thing. And I think they should. We should just bring back prehistoric animals.
Wait. So you're saying like
Jurassic Park went well. Jurassic Park went well.
Yeah. How many Jurassic Park movies are there?
Too many.
That's just propaganda. It would be fine.
But okay, so like, all right, you were saying like all these woolly mammoths just died?
Yeah. It was during the Younger Dryas. You seem like you know, Cody.
Yes.
It was like the Younger Dryas era then, and we clearly had like either a bombardment of asteroids that caused all kinds of issues. We have ice core samples from around the world that kind of confirms this. Mm-hmm. There was like a huge spike in like climate change where everything iced over, then like thawed out. And it looks like in certain areas it was like an instantaneous freeze. So all of these creatures either were drowned, most likely it was ice or snow or something, or ash. It could have been volcanic. I don't know. But something happened crazy, and all this stuff is preserved. You can go online and find like one of the woolly mammoths they keep in like an ice box, and they've made like a custom styrofoam case. It's a baby. But they have those genetic samples. So I'm just saying.
To piggyback off of that, there's also, which I think is one of the most believable theories, there's a theory that the reason why that happens, like, for example, like magnetic north is somewhere in Canada right now. Yeah. So there's a theory that magnetic north and south changed, and they change over so many years. And what happened is when it finally like reverted, it had caused a cultural climate change everywhere, which caused massive natural events everywhere, instant freezes, volcanic eruptions, so on and so forth, and basically like killed 90-ish% of the population.
Like imagine overnight Colorado becoming an ice cap and then it flipping back again. Like that's what's really freaky. The poles, the true poles, I don't know if I'm too loud. The true poles are shifting right now. So much so in certain airports they had to change the landing pads. They had to like repave them because magnetic north is shifting, which is terrifying. And the speculation is that they flip and then they flip back, and it's part of like a natural pendulum thing that our core does, the Van Allen belts, the this and the that. It's all connected, and it's just a natural process. But if that happens, modern society's fucked. Like the in the 1800s when the one solar flare that was big enough to happen, it caught telegraph paper on fire because the wires caught the electromagnetic feedback from this event and caught shit on fire. So imagine all the wires we have in the sky now. Everything would be decimated in a day. Hey, I told you I'd bring this to a doomsday talk.
You did.
I can connect anything to that.
And that's the whole the reason why they found evidence of water in the Sahara is they think that it's about it on a 12,000 year cycle that the poles shift, and that's why all texts that we find, all like biblical and everything texts, are like within a 12,000 year span. And that we don't think civilization happened before that, even though it did. It's because there was a great reset in the poles, and it changed everything. When it changed everything, what was no longer. So what was mountainous and arid land all became water, and then what was very fertile land became desert. So everything changed. So, and then that landscape changes and that temperature changes, things get covered and removed. So that's the kind of theory, is that we just reset 12,000 years ago. And obviously we're all cynical, so we just assume it's every 12,000 years. It could be 24,000, but we just assume we're always going to die. So that might be why it is. But still,
there's definitely a global surface reset every once in a while.
There has to be.
I mean, and then everything would be forgotten. Like there could have been iterations of man that completely had a mind-blowing technology. And even though that sounds so woo-woo and weird, that interview with Randall Carlson, he's a really interesting geologist / speculative lecturer. Anyway, he was talking about like just imagine like a just a car from like the 70s that's left out in like the southern backyard, and how long does that take to like rust into oblivion? It takes not long. If you've ever just seen a car that's been left to the elements, it's like gone in like a few decades. There's just pieces of synthetic fabric. But then imagine like ice caps flipping around. Imagine glaciers just completely grinding everything to a pulp. And then rot and degradation. I mean, and there would be nothing left outside of like stone. But even stone turns into pebbles eventually if there's a great enough force on it in time.
Water.
And that's why like they think that they found
the prehistoric landing of Atlantis in the Eye of the Sahara because it's very
Oh
similar.
yeah, the Ricot structure. Yeah,
Yep.
me and him are on the same wavelength. I like this.
My head hurts. Like I'm worried. Like I'm trying to like I'm probably gonna go pack a bag right now and be like, all right, I gotta start.
You don't have a go bag? Man.
Not right now. I don't. But okay. So I got a couple of questions. I don't know if either one of you can answer them. The 12,000 year cycle, where are we at as far as that cycle goes? Like,
Pretty damn close to it.
Yeah, we're really close.
Like how close?
It's like what was it? This is what's cool. The Göbekli Tepe in Turkey was intentionally buried, and the organic matter that they found around that whole temple structure back when they are like, oh, we were hunter gatherers. Bullshit. They found organic matter, measured it, and it's roughly 12,000 years. And what's interesting is like whoever built this structure, it's the oldest structure we found in this kind of condition, and it's roughly 12,000 and some change. And the models are all around 12,000, between 12 to 14, and there's always some kind of thing that happens. And part of the speculation is that we pass through the Torrid meteor stream, and we're bombarded like every 12,000 years. And then there's this huge, house size meteors that land and cause all kinds of climate issues and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we're very close because the carbon dating is like roughly around that time too. So we're like on the edge of it. And what's also worrisome is not only are we due for another one of these pole switching or Torrid meteor stream events, we're also due another solar flare, like a surface altering flare like that happened in the 1800s. And it always happened like that particular discharge of the sun usually happens like every 100, 120 years, something like that. And then, yeah, we've got like all these things kind of converging soon.
Oh my gosh. Can you wait like 100 years? Just wait 100 years. I'll be gone. Like, I don't want to be around for this shit.
For a lot of them. So that's honestly why there's a lot of validity for like the Mayan calendar and stuff like that, because it lined up fairly similar to that. Also, like, let's just be honest. I don't know that the asteroid thing will be as much of a problem because NASA did leak that they've had technology to kind of move asteroids out of our way, and they've been doing it for a while. But so that was kind of leaked.
What?
Yeah. So so let's be real. Trump is a troll, and he does a lot of things because he's a troll. But when he enacted Space Force, people assumed that it was for like intergalactic like fighting and, like Star Trek and all this stuff. But realistically, he was putting a face to a name of another black budget. There's many of them. Yeah. And that black budget is essentially to protect ourselves from anything outside. Now and I know you automatically assume we went to aliens, but that is inclusion of solar flares, asteroids, all the particles that can come and harm us. And they've been doing it for a while. There's a reason why we're not constantly sending, people up there anymore. Publicly, but it's essentially so that one I'm not so worried about. But yes, there's a very good potential that within the next, 100 to 300 years, we also have to realize that our calendar is completely fucked, and what we go off of is not the calendar that they went off of, because there was 13 months and a different amount of days and so on, because they went off the zodiac signs. But that we'll not go down that rabbit hole. But anyways, but so there is definitely a possibility of that. Now, the one thing that I have, one, carbon dating is bullshit, so I hate that. But two, we don't know. So we assume that it's 12,000 years because that's kind of what we've seen so far. Cycles aren't always exact, and it could double, but fuck it.
We're around
it. There's nothing that we're going to be able to do to change it.
True. But we're around that date.
What, oh man, this is just, I gotta be careful here because this is all very fun.
We could edit this out if we need to.
Well, no, yeah, okay. So my question is can I do video on this from my phone? Like if I swapped, does that work? Like it would. Let me see.
Are you saying like you bring up Discord on your phone and start
Yeah.
videoing it? It might, you'd probably have to close the one on your computer first.
Let me see.
Because it'll log you out of the computer one if you're in two places.
Well, see, I think you're just calling me just by
I'm
itself.
on the wrong thing. Sorry. Hold on. I gotta, because this will be worth it.
Okay.
Get out of here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I see how it's. All right. So
We're doing an experiment right now.
yeah, because if I can do show and tell, I got a really cool
Show
thing.
and tell.
You don't want to like have a picture of like a meteor or something like that coming in, do you? Okay, yeah. We're in go mode right now.
All right, so I'm paranoid enough about this whole this issue with I have barricades on my house.
I love that.
All right, so I'm trying to work on the depths of my particular bunker. I don't know if you can.
What?
It's getting there. So like that's my point. Like everyone is getting ready. These people, Musk is like trying to get to Mars. We're trying to the people on the West Coast are digging super far down and making bunkers. I've got limited amounts of hydraulic equipment, so this is what I've gotten so far. But we're working on it.
How far deep is that?
Hold on.
The estimate would be like 12-ish.
I was gonna say the ladder's got to be at least a 12-foot ladder.
Yeah, it's hold on.
Oh, okay. Not as deep as I thought it was, but it's getting there.
Yeah,
That's still deep as shit.
I would say from
8 feet?
the lowest point, I would say 1.5 of me. So like we're getting to, man, I don't know. I would say 15. I think I would say 15, 14 or 15.
Dang.
But anyway, yeah. So
and this is absolutely not me trying to shit on you because I've had the same ideas, but this is where I end up landing at with these ideas. So let's say we build these massive bunkers, right? And you build your bunker and they're building their bunkers and they're deep down and this, that, and the other, right? And let's say the earth shifts and everything goes on and you're what happens if where you are is now an ocean?
that's the problem. That would be a problem.
I got a dinghy. Yeah, that's actually, you bring up a really good point, Cody. Well, also, I think something that's important to remember too is that's awesome. By the way, thank you for showing us that. That was awesome.
Thought a little bit of show and tell would be fun.
But like it's like, okay, yeah, almost like, okay, if it's an ocean or if it, like you get snowed over, are you trapped in there now?
True.
So it's just like, I don't know, but like, okay, what happens if this is like what if you're in the most fertile place now too? Like, you know, it's,
I mean, my whole thing is like, at least it increases my percentage of survival. Like, yeah, if this becomes the bottom of the ocean, I'm fucked. But like, at least I'm opening some options, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand that the top is going to have to be like heavily reinforced concrete. And I kind of want to Faraday it too, because like if you have a bunker, I have a whole bunch of Faraday cloth. You can buy it in bolts about this long, and I make like pouches. I like double it all up and put laptops in it. So if you were to have something like that, you would also want it to be like EMF shielded somewhat, because like while you're under there, what if there's like a solar flare and the little technology you have to keep things going gets fried? Like,
that's true. That's true.
The self-sustainability of it. So like I said, not to show, I literally have a mock blueprint of like a 6-story version of one of those that is complete self-sustaining. So I'm on board with you, but those are the problems that I ran into in my own mind.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. There are limitations. I've been doing that completely myself. I don't have like the funds to. I'm borrowing a backhoe. Like I have to do everything in stages. So,
Man, that's awesome though. That's really cool. That reminds me of like the Doomsday Prepper TV show. I love watching that show.
Yeah.
It's so interesting just to see like what different people, like different scenarios that they think may happen, and just like how each individual person preps. There was one lady on there who like figured out a way to like make eggs last in like some weird way, and she was like, yeah, these are year-old eggs or whatever, but like she had made them like last. It was really crazy. And she like, yeah, she was big on food. She's like, I don't care if it's the end of the world, I want to eat good. So like she had like all of this stuff. It was pretty cool.
Is it like freeze dried?
I think some of it was freeze dried. But I don't remember exactly. I think it's on the Discovery Channel or whatever show that Doomsday show was on. I think maybe TLC. I don't remember, but yeah.
You definitely need some like radar equipment, some drilling equipment, because you want to know first, if you're going to drill somewhere to get out, you want to make sure you're drilling at a side that's not hundreds of meters before you get freedom.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Where I'm at, there's like this natural shelf of limestone. And what would be ideal is to cut out a box, because they do it all the time whenever they put skyscrapers downtown. They like just cut out a huge hole. They Minecraft that shelf of limestone. But it would be super cool if I had the equipment. I mean, I have a jackhammer. That would, but my problem is where I'm at, I'm on like a really elevated hill where I'm at. So normally here you go 15 feet and you hit bedrock, but I'm not hitting bedrock. And I actually have dug a hole much deeper than that didn't even hit bedrock. So I know it's a ways down there. But if I was able to do that, I could use part of the limestone shelf as my structure. Like, that would be so cool. I gotta work on it.
Well, I know what we're gonna all do. Like when I get back to the States, we'll all go help you make this thing.
Hey,
that'll be a great weekend.
Yeah. It won't have any political issues once everyone's living in this tiny bunker. There won't be any issues like in the hippie communes. and you're gonna have like a stockpile of guns and ammo and limited food. Total no issues. It's gonna be like 12 Cloverfield Lane.
I love that movie. That's actually what I was thinking about. Like that. Who's it? Rain? No. What's his name? John Candy? No, not John Candy. Oh, who's it?
Goodman.
Goodman. John Goodman.
John Goodman.
Yes, he did great in that movie.
Yes.
Yes. Final thoughts though on the British Columbian sturgeon.
Wow, that was far away. Those are big.
Right. I think we do have time for one more. If you guys want to do one more, or we can wrap it up. One more.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what it lands on. All right. This is more of like, again, kind of like your feelings towards this and your like thoughts. It's just out there. Cloning. Thoughts on cloning. Do you guys think it's a good idea? Like, would you guys? So for me, for instance, cloning my pet, I would. This conversation I've had with my wife. We both agreed we would not want to do it because we have shelter cats. And how they were brought up is almost like just like a human, how like you're brought up makes you. And the fact that like our cats wouldn't be able to be in that same environment when they were brought up would make them different. Yes, it would be like the same markings. It would be like they never left, but there might be traits about them that are no longer there that make them who they are. So I'm against it for animals. I don't think I've really thought about it for people so much.
I'll tell you why I'm for it.
For people?
Yes.
Or
not for people for the most part, but also I think I could be for it for animals. And it's not in a way that I think most people think about cloning for. I'm thinking about it as a parts system. So,
oh my gosh,
you
that's a
had the
movie.
ability- if you had
That's
the
a
ability to
movie.
clone yourself and you had kidney failure, you wouldn't have to worry about taking kidneys from somebody else that may not be compatible. You would have the ability to take them from that clone. And the concept of if we ever have a food shortage and we're able to clone cows or something to get more meat and so on and so forth, why not?
I thought you were gonna say clone people for meat.
No.
I was like cannibalism.
But I'm with you to where I feel like there's a brain limitation. So not like a fully animated clone to where like they're replacing somebody. I feel like you said that there's a lot of things I believe in. There's a lot of that most people don't, and there's things that I don't believe in that most people do. But I do believe consciousness, so on, a soul, whatever you call it, is not something that we have the ability to recreate. So I feel like that disparity, you can't like just replace somebody because you'll never replace them regardless of the meat suit that you created.
Yeah. I don't know. So like the whole thing with like if you had kidney failure, if you needed a heart transplant. So then would you clone someone at the same age? Like, so if a child is born, is that when you start the cloning process? Or is it like we hold on to your DNA and as soon as you need something, that's when we start the cloning process?
I think so, because then you're getting a younger part. So like, because if it is a clone of you, whatever disease that may have passed down, like let's say I need a heart at 40 because my family is known for having heart problems at 40, I would rather have my 20-year-old heart and give myself another 20 years than that 40-year-old heart from the clone that may have the same issues.
Interesting. I mean, this is a movie.
Michael Bay's The Island.
Yes. I don't know. I don't.
Ewan McGregor did a great job in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. It gets shit on, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it.
I don't know. I don't think I can get on board with cloning. I don't think I could. I could understand like for like creating more meat and everything like that. Yes, but like to clone an animal, you would just need two animals to procreate. You wouldn't necessarily need them. You wouldn't need a clone. You know what I mean?
So you kind of, this is really bad, but you kind of like take away some of PETA's power by cloning them. Like you don't have like, obviously there's like there's a fertilization process, and like it depends on the technology of clone it is. Like, do I have to wait 20 years for it to become 20? Do I have to wait, however long the animal takes to become an adult for it to become an adult? Or can I make it an accelerated process with the clone to where, let's say in 10 days, it becomes an adult? And now I have enough meat. And I feel like there's a lot of questions behind it. But if you can take like the genes of a cow and in 10 days I can make an adult cow so where we have adult sized meat, like you kind of shuffle away from a lot of problems.
I think in that aspect where if it was an accelerated thing where like, yes, you could create an adult, why not? Because like, yeah, if there is we could end world hunger. Like there would no longer be that issue. And I think that would be like, I think everyone can be on board with that at least. But I feel like it's almost one of those things where it's like, do we have the ability right now as a civilization to end world hunger? We do, but yet we don't do it. So it's like, exactly. It's like we're very money driven societies, whether it be like, wherever you're from, it's like money drives us. So I don't know. I guess if it was used in a way where it was like, that was the intent and that's what was going to happen with it, then yes. But if it was one of these, like, I'm going to get rich off of it, I don't know. Well,
my whole thing with this is like, all right, is it my responsibility to, if some village on the other side of the world can't figure out like basic irrigation and basic farming techniques, and they don't know how to keep their population in check, like, is that my responsibility to provide food for them? I don't think it is. The other problem I have is like there with the cloning, there's like, okay, you would run into issues with the accelerated aging because if you're making a human body, like let's say you started at age 40, you cloned yourself to have backup organs. The only thing you're trying to do is to maintain your brain as long as you can and swap out every other organ but your brain. Because that's where your consciousness is. So then you have the issue of like, all right, food. You would still the cloning wouldn't solve in my mind world hunger in any capacity. Now, heavy genetic modification might, because then you could take, and they're starting to do this. They're starting to figure out plans on, because the whole issue with eating meat, everyone doesn't want to kill something that perceives pain and thinks somewhat on, even if it's a rudimentary, intellect. People don't like that. That's the whole reason vegans do their thing. And I respect the core reasoning for it. But like our bodies were designed to consume what we're made of. We're flesh. And so if you don't replenish that particular spectrum of amino acids, like, I mean, a long-term veganism, a lifetime of long-term veganism, like teeth start falling out, your hair, you don't synthesize hair well, connective tissue doesn't do very good. And you can't stay warm, your metabolism's screwed up, your hormones are screwed up. So then what the ideal thing to do would be to genetically modify chickens and cows without a brain, without a head, and we just grow them in like matrix style, towers. And but then where the genetic modification could come in, you could accelerate the animal's growth. You wouldn't want to do it to your organ bank. Like if you were to do that, because then your organs would still be accelerating in age inside you that you transplanted with. But you could do that to animals, and it doesn't matter if that meat ages accelerated. Once it's dead, it's still a pile of amino acids, and you wouldn't be really technically killing anything, no more than you would if you're eating a plant.
I can still see people having a huge issue with it, though. I mean, like it's true though. If it doesn't have a brain, is it no more than just a plant then? At that, with just like it's just growing.
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. Like plants, we've figured out can count. They understand like basic things in communication, like with mycelial networks and trees and the other thing, the frequency of the birds chirping in the morning, causing certain plants to trigger them to open their leaves up for start to photosynthesize. There's like a whole lot of things we don't understand about plants, but the really fucked up thing is like you can't get out if you exist, you cannot not consume life to continue existing. Like you have to consume life in order to keep going. There's no other way. It's the way the entire universe is built.
That is really interesting. Like when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, you need to consume life to keep going and to like give back. That's so weird. I mean,
you can't go out and eat a bunch of silica. You can't eat sand and dirt. You have to eat either a plant living organism. Something has to be a living organism that you're consuming.
And if you really think about the mental fuck of that, is every villainous creature in every horror story or everything else that we look at as the villain for eating us, we are that for everything else.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, we're the apex predator for sure. But back to the whole cloning thing is like, it would be no different than procreating. I mean, it wouldn't. Now, where I think we should draw the line is like, what type of genetic? Okay, yes. There's two ways I think about this. There's a whole home brew community of genetic DIYers out there. They're getting CRISPR. You can buy it right now on the Odin site. You can get bacteria that mimics the way that CRISPR, actually it's exactly the same as CRISPR. They're using different types of bacteriums to do the same thing, but they're getting really better at their versions. Right now you're getting, it's basically root rot. There's a bacteria that is known as root rot. I forget the exact name, benign E. coli. I think it's a form of E. coli, but anyway, there are people that are genetically modifying themselves at home. Like they're knocking out the, I think it's the myostatin gene that regulates muscle synthesis. They're doing like all kinds of things, or they're trying to genetically modify their gut biome by, because some people are just born with a different acidic versus alkaline conditions that harbor or don't harbor preferable biomes. And so there are people that are doing that now. If you are genetically modifying yourself, I think that's nobody's business what you do. Now, if you are creating a completely new life and genetically modifying it, maybe we need to see some oversight. But at the same time, outside of us breeding ourselves like cattle, there's no real way to create like hyper intelligent beings outside of genetic modification, because we either do genetic modification or eugenics. Those are the two options we want if we want hyper intelligent next generation, which we want to strive for as best as we can. So I don't know. It depends on what you're doing. Are you like, if you were to make a body double of yourself, 4 organs, you would want it to grow in real time, but maybe you don't want it to have a brain. That's a decent thing to do, because you don't want it to be you don't want to be ending a conscious life for you. That's selfish. But if you're just growing a bag of meat, have at it. So I don't know. I feel like this is super nuanced, but I'm for it.
I agree. There's definitely, like with anything, there is good and bad applications. I think there's inherently good applications and there's inherently bad applications. There's ways to even screw up the good parts, but I think, like with anything, you want a level of oversight and a level of, just doing it in a, I guess, somewhat intelligent way. It's still, intelligence could go any way, but yeah, I'm for it in most ways. There's ways that I'm absolutely abhorrently not for it, but in a lot of ways I am.
I'm gonna have to do more research on it. Like I think you guys both brought up really good points. I think if we could, like, the whole without a brain aspect with it, I think more people would be, as far as like if you wanted to help yourself with the cloning process. But I think I don't know, like if it was just straight up like, hey, we can't, like, really, it's just a normal human being, it's just like it's another you. I don't know how, like, most people would feel about that. I don't know how they would. I don't know what they'd do.
It would be definitely sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You guys know,
it would just definitely cause some social issues.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing is, like, when we're talking about consciousness, it would have a consciousness. So, like, would you, like, how would that, like, that? I don't know. That hurts my brain. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a little bit, and I'll come back. What were you gonna say, Cody? Though.
One, I think I think that's the prerequisite, is it can't have a conscience. But you guys know, like, the whole, like, KFC conspiracy theory a few years ago.
No.
So the reason why their chicken was getting bigger and there was an abundance of it is that they were genetically modifying their chickens. So they had chickens with like 6 legs and 6 wings and multiple breasts, and they were genetically modifying them to have that, so that way they could get more off of the chicken. So they're like creating like giant chickens in these warehouses, and they're like, cutting them up so that way one chicken was basically 6 or 3. But and there was, obviously, if it was true or not, you never know nowadays, who knows. But saying is, that's where it becomes an issue, is that because that chicken is alive and is probably living an extremely tortured existence. And where that becomes okay is if you're now cloning and making a chicken similar to that, just without a brain, without the aspect of being able to have consciousness and feeling pain, and then so on and so forth. But it kind of aligns with that. It was like, want to say like 2014, maybe 2013. There was like this big conspiracy theory about it.
Was there any pictures?
Yeah, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. I hate the photos of the videos that came out when they have these sticks with nails that in these giant like Tyson warehouses when the chickens, they've gotten the chickens so overdeveloped that they top over and their legs break because they can't support their weight. And so they're just like crawling around on the ground, and these just like fat ass dudes come around and just like hit them in the head with a nail. And it's just like so cruel and disgusting. Like, I don't have a problem taking a life to continue living, and especially if it like came to my family. Like there's no, I would take a life to feed my family. But at the same time, we need to be ethical about it. Like having these giant shit-filled warehouses where these things are tortured, like you're talking about. No, like that's the issue, and that's what some hardcore vegans are so that got on that that wagon for, because it's disgusting what our machine warehouses of these lives that we're just completely abusing. Like that, I have a problem with that. My butcher is a local grass-fed meat. They have lives on open farmland in Kentucky, and they have one bad day. It sucks, but like they are at least living like a normal full animal life to some degree. So I don't know.
I think some of the argument, and okay, so here's the thing though, is like, okay, so do we just like, so altogether, do we just stop eating that meat, like that Tyson meat, and then it just goes to waste? Like it died for nothing. It lived and died for nothing.
Might be the only way to stop it. They could, like, the only reason they're doing it is profit.
That is true.
So, and coming from like the business world myself, it still won't stop it. They'll create a new company, they'll create a new name, and they'll hide it a little bit longer, and they'll just revert everything. Somebody will buy it. They'll continue operations somewhere. It'll be all hunky-dory for a couple years through like sanctions or whatever, and then it goes right back to it. Unfortunately, some people are inherently shitbags.
Yeah. And we've said that many of times on the show. Yeah. Just bad people do bad things. Yeah. Okay. I think that was I think that wraps it up for cloning and everything like that. With all the topics though, Seth, Cody, like, out of everything, final thoughts on anything about the fishbowl that you want to just last minute say?
The only thing that's going to stop animal abuse is the pole swapping.
Reset everything.
I think, I'm kind of paranoid right now. Like I'm gonna, like, when I eat dinner tonight, I'm just like, I feel a shift.
Compass to Steve is changing.
Yeah, like, we got to be careful right now.
Yeah. Well, at least you're in Germany. They don't like do glyphosate on the crops. Like everything in the US is super poisoned. If it's not labeled USDA organic, they're spraying it with glyphosate, whatever, it's Roundup. But in this country, we not only are we like creating freak birds that want to die, we have like these huge fields that is an agricultural practice. You should watch the photos and videos of these guys in these full-on hazmat suits pumping their spray things, and they go through and spray because glyphosate causes the wheat berries to like swell, and so by weight you get way more out of your crop. And what we're doing is we're finding detectable levels in children's cereal of Roundup. And that causes all kinds of endocrine system
celiac disease.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Like I had a friend that had another friend that had really bad celiac disease and was in Europe, and they have like some hardcore laws about like agriculture that they don't do that. And this person had celiac disease and just no, I can't eat any wheat. And they're like, no, you should try this wheat. She eventually broke down and did, and zero issues. Like, what is that about? I'm convinced our food is completely toxic over here.
Me and you could have a very, very fantastic 4+ hour long conversation on Monsanto.
Man, they got slapped on the wrist. I'm sure you know about that lawsuit, that class action. The amount of money they make versus how much they had to pay out to all these people where their femur bones were turning black. They had to replace their pelvises because they were farmers that were working with the chemical on the front line. and they're just all dying or having to have bizarre pieces of their body replaced with synthetic parts. And the payout versus how many people barely even covers a lifetime of medical care that these people have to have. It's disgusting. They make cigarette companies look like saints.
Not only that, but the cross-pollination bullshit that they pull on, that our wheat pollinated your land that doesn't have our Monsanto products. So now we own part of your land in order for a hostile takeover to take over all the farms. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the fact that they are allowed to have, like, they tinker with some genetic code, this giant corporation, they plug it into a plant, and once that plant pollinates and goes to, they technically own your crops because their patented code got breezed over due to natural it's completely dirty and gross, and they should all be that you talk about repurposing Guantanamo. All of those board members need to be shipped there.
Yes,
get out of here.
Absolutely.
Okay. What is this? What is that?
Just listen. Google Monsanto and go. And Monsanto? We'll see you in a week and a half.
I think I think it would be you guys were very hot there for a second about it. I think we should cover an episode on it.
We might get killed. We might get Epstein.
And that's why I promise you, it was during the Alex Jones episode. I made a comment about it, and I said, if we want to talk about some stuff that's going to create some eyebrows and Monsanto is a topic.
Yeah.
Oh, you froze.
I can hear him. Isn't that weird? I can always hear him, but he freezes. There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, we will do an episode on it. I'm looking forward to that one. I want to do some research on it. But Seth, thank you for coming by, helping us with this episode. I hope you like it. I hope you're coming around for some more of these fish bowls. I don't know what your thoughts on that were, but hey, thanks for that. Appreciate it. And then for everyone else, just remember that old saying that we have here at That's Effin' Weird. We don't want what's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.